Imagine walking through a stark, white landscape. Suddenly you see them, indentations in the ground perfectly preserved. These are not just any marks, they are human footprints. They were made by people who lived thousands of years before previously thought possible in the Americas. This discovery, deep in what is now White Sands National Park in New Mexico, sent ripples through the scientific community. These ancient traces offer a direct, tangible link to a distant past, a moment frozen and waiting to be understood. The ground itself became a history book, its pages turned by erosion and revealing an incredible story. The feeling of encountering such a find must be extraordinary. Picture the researchers, carefully brushing away sediment. They were not uncovering stone tools or ancient bones, which are common archaeological finds. Instead, they found the ephemeral evidence of movement, of life in action. These prints represent a fleeting moment when someone, perhaps a child or an adult, walked across a muddy lakeside. To stand where they stood, to see the impression of their feet, is to connect with them on a deeply human level. It shrinks the vast expanse of time, making the Ice Age feel suddenly closer and more real. White Sands National Park is a truly unique place on Earth. Located in the Tularosa Basin of southern New Mexico, it is famous for its vast expanse of brilliant white dunes. Unlike most deserts, these dunes are not made of silica sand. Instead, they are composed of gypsum, a soft sulfate mineral. This creates a surreal, almost otherworldly landscape. The park protects a significant portion of this gypsum dune field, the largest of its kind on the planet. The shifting sands constantly reshape the terrain, burying and sometimes revealing secrets hidden beneath. The geological history of White Sands is key to understanding how these ancient footprints were preserved. During the Pleistocene Epoch, or the Ice Age, this basin held a large body of water known as Lake Otero. As the climate warmed and dried at the end of the Ice Age, Lake Otero began to evaporate. The footprints were made on the muddy shores of this receding lake. The discovery of human footprints adds another profoundly significant layer to this rich paleontological record. The discovery of these remarkable footprints was not a single event, but rather a process of careful observation and growing realization. David Bustos, the park's resource program manager, played a pivotal role. He had been noticing ghost tracks, prints that appear when the ground is wet, and then disappear when it dries for years. In 2009, he and others began to systematically investigate these features. They were initially looking for fossilized tracks of Ice Age megafauna, which are relatively common in the area. However, among the tracks of mammoths and giant sloths, they started noticing something even more compelling: unmistakably human footprints. This was the beginning of a long journey of research. The aha moment, when the team fully grasped the potential antiquity and significance of the human prints, must have been electrifying. Imagine carefully clearing sediment and seeing the distinct shape of a human foot, heel, arch and toes preserved in ancient mud. These were not ambiguous marks, they were clearly made by people. The context was also crucial. The prints were found in layers of sediment that also contained the tracks of extinct Ice Age animals. This immediately suggested a great age. The extent of the find quickly became apparent. Dating footprints directly is a significant challenge in archaeology. Unlike bones or tools, footprints are impressions left in sediment. They don't contain organic material themselves that can be easily carbon dated. Therefore, scientists must date the layers of sediment in which the footprints are found, or associated materials within those layers. The primary method used to date the White Sands footprints was radiocarbon dating of ancient seeds. Specifically, seeds of the aquatic plant, commonly known as ditch grass, were found embedded in the sediment layers directly above and below the human and animal trackways. These tiny seeds provided the organic material needed for carbon-14 dating. By dating multiple seeds from different layers, researchers could establish a tight chronological window for when the footprints were made. The results were astonishing, consistently pointing to an age range of approximately 23,000 to 21,000 years ago. This placed humans in North America right in the midst of the last glacial maximum. The process of collecting and dating these seeds was painstaking. Researchers carefully excavated the sediment layers, identifying and extracting the tiny seeds. These samples were then sent to specialized laboratories for accelerator mass spectrometry, AMS, radiocarbon dating, a highly precise technique. The footprints at White Sands offer more than just a date. They provide intimate glimpses into the lives of the people who made them. The size and shape of the prints can tell us about the individuals. Most of the tracks appear to have been made by teenagers and younger children with fewer adult tracks. This is a fascinating detail. Why were so many young people present? Were they engaged in specific tasks, perhaps foraging or playing along the lake shore? Some longer trackways show a consistent gait, suggesting purposeful travel. The depth of the prints can sometimes indicate the weight of the individual, or if they were carrying something heavy, perhaps a child or provisions. The presence of so many children's footprints is particularly poignant. It humanizes these ancient people in a very direct way. We can imagine children running, playing, and perhaps even helping with daily chores just as children do today. One particular trackway seems to show a person, likely a woman or an adolescent, carrying a toddler. The prints are deeper and show a slight outward turn, characteristic of carrying a load. For many decades, the prevailing theory about the first peopling of the Americas was known as Clovis First. This model proposed that the first humans arrived in North America around 13,500 years ago. The White Sands footprints challenged the Clovis First theory. Dated between 23,000 and 21,000 years ago, they are nearly 10,000 years older than Clovis sites. This discovery forces a re-evaluation of when and how humans first reached these continents. The announcement of the White Sands footprint dates inevitably sparked a vigorous debate within the scientific community. Some archaeologists raised concerns, primarily focusing on the dating methods. The main point of contention was the potential for the freshwater reservoir effect to make the seeds appear older than they truly were. If the lake water contained ancient dissolved carbon, the plants absorbing that carbon would yield older radiocarbon dates. The original research team, led by scientists from the U.S. Geological Survey, Cornell University, and Bournemouth University, anticipated these criticisms and worked to address them. They argued that Lake Otero, being a relatively shallow and hydrologically active system, was unlikely to have a significant reservoir of ancient carbon. They also pointed to the remarkable consistency of the dates obtained from multiple seeds across different stratigraphic layers. More recently, further research has bolstered their claims. For example, dating of terrestrial pollen from pine trees found in the same layers as the footprints has yielded ages consistent with the seed dates. This helps to mitigate concerns about aquatic reservoir effects, as terrestrial plants get their carbon from the atmosphere. Despite the growing body of supporting evidence, some skepticism remains, and calls for more research continue. Scientists are exploring other dating techniques to further corroborate the age of the footprints. Optically stimulated luminescence, or OSL, dating of the sediment grains within the footprint layers is one such avenue. OSL can determine when sediments were last exposed to sunlight, potentially providing an independent age estimate for the layers themselves. While the scientific data, the dates, the stratigraphy, the megafauna associations, are crucial, it is important not to lose sight of the profound human element of the White Sands discovery. These are not just abstract traces. They are the marks left by real people, individuals with families, hopes, and struggles. They walked this land during a time of immense environmental challenge, the peak of the Ice Age. These footprints remind us that our ancestors were resilient, adaptable, and resourceful. They were navigating a world vastly different from our own. Yet their humanity, as evidenced by these simple impressions, resonates across the millennia. There is an almost emotional connection that these footprints evoke. To look at a print, to see the curve of a heel or the splay of toes, is to feel a direct link to the person who made it. It is a tangible connection to someone who lived and breathed 23,000 years ago. Unlike stone tools, which speak of technology and skill, or ancient bones which speak of biology, footprints speak of presence, of movement, of a moment in a life. They allow us to imagine walking alongside these ancient people, sharing their journey for a brief instant. This power to connect us to our deep past is one of the most remarkable aspects of the White Sands discovery. This discovery also enriches our view of Ice Age people. The White Sands footprints establish humans in North America during the last glacial maximum, 21 to 23,000 years ago. This shifts our understanding significantly. The story of the first Americans is older than we thought. It pushes back human presence by nearly 10,000 years. This discovery rewrites the first chapters of human history in the Americas. It has profound implications for human migration theories. The traditional Bering land bridge route becomes problematic. This supports alternative migration models, like the Pacific coastal route. It opens the possibility of multiple migration waves. The White Sands discovery prompts new questions about human arrival.